Alright guys, got another update on the Polini AM6 bike. You can see I made a lot of progress on the HPI programmable ignition setup. Got the case fully cleared. It did need a hell of a lot coming out everywhere pretty much. All around the case had to be clearanced out. I roughed it in by hand. Then I used a milling attachment to make sure both faces were the same height off of the deck so the stator sits evenly. The taper came out great. It's nice and centered. I used the dial caliper depth gauge to make sure it's even on all four sides, and it's damn near perfect. I ended up, instead of standoffs, I ended up drilling and Loctiting in helicoil 5mm for these bolts. I got to get slightly longer ones so I can run lock washers. I'm just going to run the 3. There's very thin case on the 4th spot. I'm not going to mess with it. These are on the ledges, so they got a little bit more meat. So this is almost done, ready to go. Hopefully tomorrow I can get the top end back on, mocked up, so I can set the timing and play with the programming and the map and stuff for this. Bottom end is almost done. Second thing, what I got done today, I made a extra deep bowl nut for my PWK Polini carb that I'm running on this setup. What this does is a couple different things. First off, it gives you a lot more fuel in the bowl, so the bowl won't run dry as often, and it prevents cavitation of fuel in the main jet when you have a power jet, which is why I'm doing this part. This guy gets a barb that goes on the bottom of the deep well nut. The barb just sits back in that fuel. This fuel doesn't affect the float level because it's under the carb, so it's kind of like a little reservoir just for the power jet. The power jet is going to be set up for supplemental fueling right in the front bell. This is the Thunder Racing power jet. It goes from absolutely closed, so no effect, all the way up to the equivalent of a 500 Mikuni jet. So a ton of additional fuel added by the power jet, and with the deep float bowl, you don't have to worry about sharing fuel in one bowl for the main jet, pilot jet, and the power jet all together. So that just needs to be drilled and tapped. I'm going to put a little notch for an O-ring on there to make sure it seals good. And I'll have the extra fuel supply dialed in. So I'm getting pretty close to wrapping this up. When the motor's done though, I'm not going to throw it on the bike yet. I want to make one more change to the frame. Now that the motor sits a lot lower, my chain stays hits the motor chain. So I want to modify the chain stays. I'm just going to bring the left one out like 1 inch or something, just to clearance that out. But HPI programmable, dual map switch. I'm going to have my standard advanced ignition based on the Polini race CDI, basically mimicking what they use when they race these cylinders. Then with the flip of a switch, I'm going to pull probably 2 degrees, maybe 3, and then turning this knob, I can add some fuel once I dial it in how much extra fuel I need. With the pulled timing and the extra fuel, I will be able to run nitrous. I'm turning this motor into a nitrous motor. So I'm going to start out with the 5 horsepower shot. It's already 28, 29. I'm going to spray with the 5, see what it likes, mess with the power jet, have it tuned for NA on the main jet, and then just crank the power jet, flip a switch. Now I can spray. I'm going to go from a 5 to a 7 to a 10. Really looking to get 100 miles an hour out of this bike. So that's about what I've been working on. Nitrous Polini AM6. So progress, little by little.